Hey Fringers, it's Peter here again, and the sale for this week is garage gym packages up to 20% off. I've already mentioned many times how I've got a really nice garage gym, and I really feel that that's what we're doing here at Fringe, is leading the garage gym revolution and helping people build really awesome gyms in their garage. And many of those people are affiliates and boxes, and their garage just happens to be very big. But anyways, as you can tell, I'm driving as I record this. I'm actually en route from Madison, Wisconsin, where the CrossFit Games are being held, back to Chicago, where I've got to catch a flight to Beijing. So it's Saturday morning, and I left the games last night after just spending a few hours there. But it was really an interesting experience. I've been to the games for the past few years, and in LA, and I'd kind of gotten used to the games being in LA, for better and for worse. And so Madison is pretty interesting. I actually am about to catch this flight to Beijing, and going to be working on some new bumper plates, the Unkillable Med Ball, still those lifting shoes, some new barbells, a lot of other really interesting stuff that'll be coming down the pipe from us. But I really couldn't miss coming out to Madison and figuring out what was going on with the games this year. And I'll give you my real quick hits. I'm sure I'll be back next year, hopefully be able to spend a little more time than just a few hours at the games. So first of all, a lot of people at the venue were complaining about the weather. And to be honest, I've never been to Madison other than just now. So I don't know a whole lot about the weather, but I talked with some locals and they said it's usually pretty warm, like 85 to 90 degrees now. And it was pretty chilly when I was there. I got there after the big rainstorm and all that and all the wind, but a lot of people were complaining about the weather. That said, I think it's unseasonable weather, so I don't really know what you can say there. The other thing that a lot of people had been talking about was just, a lack of preparation for the site and for the spectators. And I did feel like it was a better environment at StubHub down in LA, in terms of just kind of like walking around and seeing people you knew and that sort of thing. But then again, maybe it's just familiarity, since I'd been to the games a number of years at that venue, and maybe the same people come all the time. And so I was running into more people I knew, or, I got more comfortable with how things were set up. So moving off of just kind of feedback that I was hearing from people and kind of things that I was seeing, I do think Madison is a way better city than LA if the desire is to blanket the city with CrossFitters. So I went to this really great restaurant called Gray's, and actually I went there for lunch, and then I liked it so much, I went back there for dinner. And at lunch, the people at the table next to me were not CrossFitters, and they were complaining about all the CrossFitters in town and how it was, messing up their traffic, or doing this or that. And I also heard some people complaining online about how Whole Foods in Madison was just like swamped and sold out of a ton of, like, I don't know, bone broth and kale and all the stereotypical things that you might talk about. I actually think that those interactions are a really good sign, and they show that Madison is a better city than LA, let's say, because I don't think anybody in LA would be like, oh, look, there are CrossFitters everywhere. The city's just too big and nobody cares. Whereas Madison, it's small enough that it's really an impact, and we really take over the city. I think back to when I ran the Chicago Marathon, a decade ago. When I was in Chicago, there were signs everywhere for the marathon, even though the number of people running the marathon was like 40,000 or something like that. And, I don't know what the population of Chicago is, but, quite a few million in any case. But the city seemed really proud of the marathon that weekend. And that's what Madison just yesterday reminded me of. It's like a city that was proud to host the CrossFit Games. You'd be driving or walking around and you just see a random CrossFit Games sign, or a hotel that had put up pictures in its windows, like very large pictures of people doing handstand walks or doing battle rope ropes or something like that. And that was really cool, and I didn't see that in LA. So it's a lot of fun. I want to throw in a few things. I talked with the guys from Bar Shield over the weekend. We're going to be picking up their product. It's a kit to clean and rehab barbells. Very, very cool guys, and they're entrepreneurs in the space, really trying to make a go of it. I had a really great conversation with them. Talked a lot about Tim Ferriss and 4 Hour Workweek stuff, which is stuff that at different times has been nearer and dearer to my heart. I also spent a good bit of time talking with the gang over at Oso Barbell, and let me see if I even have it in my pocket. Oh yeah. We are, good friends and dealers of Oso, and they made these fidget spinners out of some of the cast-offs from when they make their barbells. And I just thought it was so funny because I've got a couple of little girls and they're into fidget spinners, and this is an Oso fidget spinner, so pretty freaking cool. And then, but yeah, especially Sarah and Tom over at Oso, just love those guys. And then was hanging out with some of my peeps from Austin in the Hyperwear booth. So if you're not familiar with Hyperwear, we carry their vests. I think it's the best weight vest on the market. To be honest, the only thing that I think is wrong with it is that it's really specialized for basically being a 10-pound weight vest. And everybody always asks, like, oh, how much weight can you put into it? And I mean, the answer is, I think you can get those weight vests up to 20, 30 pounds, but really they're designed to be basically 10-pound weight vests, and that's what they excel at. I think when you start putting more weight in them, it's, kind of counter to what they were designed for. But if you're looking for a 10-pound weight vest, those Hyperwear weight vests are awesome. I've had one for years and years and years, and even at times I've actually worn it underneath, button-up nice shirt, and you can do that if you're a weirdo like me. But let me see who else I talked with that I had a really, great interaction with. A few other people kind of here and there, but, that was pretty much what it is. So, back to the games. Seems like a really interesting venue. I think that they're going to iron a few things out for next year. Weather, what are you going to do about the weather? I mean, it is what it is. I do think that the selection of the, WODs or exercises was pretty interesting this year, including some cyclocross and a few things that are actually, I would argue, being a biker or a cyclist myself, I would argue that there is a fair bit of sports-specific training required to be a really excellent biker or even to be really fast on a bike, and not just this like raw capacity. But I think it's super interesting. And then, like I mentioned, I am off to Beijing to work on a number of new products that we've got coming down the pipe. Been traveling a lot lately. A little bit of looking in the mirror. A lot of it's not complaining about that at all, but a little bit of looking in the mirror at, how much I'm on the road. And it's kind of funny.
Take exit to merge onto
I'm actually driving a nice little Audi that I rented from Silver Car, which is pretty far from what I drive when I'm at home. And I'm like looking around, I'm like, wow, this is a really nice car. But I feel like I travel so much that I would pay, 30% more than anybody else for a vehicle like this at home, because it would just sit idle at least 30% of the time in my driveway when I was out and about traveling and that sort of thing. So nice to be able to enjoy this while I'm on the road. Anyways, Garage Gym Packages. I was enjoying my garage gym when I was back at the house, and I'll be enjoying it again when I get back. And I'm recording this on Saturday morning. You guys will see it in a few days. Garage Gym Packages up to 20% off. Definitely check it out. It's really, I think all of our sales are great. But really one that can help you outfit that garage and get you rocking and rolling. So we're going to try to be putting out some more content on, leading this garage gym revolution. So if you like what I'm putting out, feel free to email me, peter@fringesport.com, and leave a comment below. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe. Check out what we got with Garage Gym Packages on fringesport.com. Be well, lift heavy, enjoy.